Early life and education. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, Germany, to Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch. He had one sister, Maha. His family moved to Munich when he was an infant. Einstein showed an early interest in science and mathematics, often being curious about mechanical devices and puzzles. Einstein's parents enrolled him in a Catholic elementary school, but due to his rebellious nature and conflicts with authorities, he was eventually withdrawn and homeschooled. He began studying at the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in 1896, where he graduated in 1900 as a mathematics and physics teacher. Why Albert Einstein was a legend. In 1905, Einstein published 4 groundbreaking papers in the scientific journal, Annalen der Physik. These papers revolutionized physics and established his reputation. Special theory of relativity. This paper introduced the theory of special relativity, which redefined concepts of space, time, and the relationship between matter and energy. The famous equation E=mc² was derived in this paper. Photoelectric effect. Einstein's paper on the photoelectric effect explained the behavior of light as both waves and particles. This work laid the foundation for quantum mechanics. Brownian motion. Einstein's analysis of Brownian motion provided evidence for the existence of atoms and molecules, supporting the atomic theory. Mass-energy equivalence. The 4th paper explored the equivalence of mass and energy, leading to the development of nuclear energy and atomic bombs. General theory of relativity. In 1915, Einstein published his general theory of relativity, which introduced the concept that gravity is the result of the curvature of spacetime caused by mass and energy. This theory predicted the bending of light around massive objects and the existence of gravitational waves. Life in Berlin and emigration. Einstein became internationally renowned, and he moved to Berlin in 1914. He became involved in political and social causes, advocating for pacifism and civil rights. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. As the Nazi regime gained power in Germany, Einstein, being of Jewish heritage, faced increasing persecution. In 1933, he left Germany and settled in the United States, accepting a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. Later years and legacy. Einstein spent his later years trying to develop a unified field theory that would unify gravity and electromagnetism, but he did not succeed in finding a complete solution. He became an advocate for nuclear disarmament and civil rights, and he corresponded with many prominent figures of his time. Albert Einstein passed away on April 18, 1955, at the age of 76 due to an abdominal aortic aneurysm. His contributions to science, including the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics, transformed our understanding of the universe and laid the groundwork for modern physics. He remains one of the most influential and iconic scientists in history. Albert Einstein was known for his unique personality, and some famous stories have circulated about him. The thought experiment on a train. One of the most well-known stories is about Einstein's thought experiment on a train. He imagined a person inside a train moving at the speed of light and a person standing outside watching. He questioned how simultaneous events would appear to both observers, leading to his insights on the theory of relativity. Einstein and the blackboard. Once, during a lecture, a student asked Einstein for his home address. Einstein, instead of providing his address, wrote it on the blackboard, saying, "If you want to know my address, you can find it there." The student was surprised, as he had expected a straightforward answer. Einstein's famous, "God does not play dice" quote. Einstein was known for his discomfort with the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics. He famously said, "God does not play dice with the universe," expressing his unease with the idea that events at the quantum level were random. Einstein's membership card. After Einstein became a member of the Princeton Club, he misplaced his membership card. When asked by the staff for his identification, he reportedly replied, "Do you know who I am? If you did, you wouldn't ask me for ID." He was eventually allowed in without the card. Einstein and his violin. Einstein was not only a brilliant physicist but also an accomplished violinist. He found playing the violin to be a relaxing and creative outlet. There's a story that when he was a professor at Princeton, he would play his violin in his office, often drawing curious and amazed students to listen outside his door. Einstein's love for sailing. Einstein loved sailing, and he often sailed on a small boat he owned on the waters near his home in Princeton. He found solace and relaxation in sailing, which allowed him to escape from the pressures of his work. These stories provide glimpses into Einstein's personality, his unconventional thinking, and his interactions with the world around him. They contribute to the colorful and enduring image of one of history's most iconic scientists. Here are a few lesser-known facts about Albert Einstein. Einstein had a speech difficulty as a child, and he didn't start speaking until around the age of 3. He was a talented violinist and loved playing music. He once said that if he hadn't become a physicist, he would have become a musician. Einstein's brain was preserved after his death in 1955 for scientific study. Researchers found that certain parts of his brain had more glial cells, which are non-neuronal cells that support and protect neurons. He was offered the presidency of Israel in 1952, but he declined, stating that he lacked the experience and the aptitude for the role. Einstein was an advocate for civil rights and was a member of the NAACP. He corresponded with civil rights leaders like W.E.B. Du Bois and supported the civil rights movement. He was a patent clerk when he published his groundbreaking papers on special relativity and the photoelectric effect in 1905, which are now considered some of the most important contributions to physics. Einstein was invited to be the second president of Israel's Technion Institute in 1919, but he turned down the offer. He had a lifelong passion for sailing and often took to the water to clear his mind and relax. Einstein was offered a contract to be the face of Israel's cigarette company in the 1950s, but he declined the offer. He was known for his iconic hairstyle, which he chose to maintain for simplicity's sake. He didn't like wasting time on grooming. These facts shed light on the multifaceted personality and life of Albert Einstein beyond his well-known contributions to physics. Tea is a popular drink made from the leaves of a plant called Camellia sinensis. The story of tea dates back thousands of years to ancient China. According to a popular legend, Emperor Shen Nong accidentally discovered tea around 2737 BCE. While he was boiling water, a few tea leaves from a nearby plant fell into the pot. The resulting infusion was refreshing and fragrant, which led him to try it again intentionally. Over time, the knowledge of tea spread throughout China and then to neighboring countries like Japan and Korea. It became an integral part of their cultures, not just as a beverage, but also as a symbol of hospitality and social gatherings. Tea eventually traveled beyond Asia and reached other parts of the world through trade routes. In the 16th century, European explorers and traders brought tea back to Europe, where it became highly prized and associated with elegance and social status. Different cultures developed unique ways of preparing and enjoying tea. In China, traditional tea ceremonies focused on the art of brewing and serving the beverage. In Japan, the elaborate tea ceremony known as chanuyu was developed as a form of mindfulness and aesthetics. Today, tea comes in various types and flavors, such as green tea, black tea, oolong tea, and herbal tea. Each type is processed differently and offers distinct flavors and health benefits. Tea is enjoyed by people all around the world, both as a simple daily drink and as an important part of cultural traditions. In summary, tea was discovered in ancient China by Emperor Shen Nong around 2737 BCE. And it has since become a cherished beverage with diverse cultural significance and various forms of preparation enjoyed by people worldwide.
Telephone is a device with the help of which two or more people can talk to each other even while sitting in different countries of the world. Today, even though the mobile phone has become the most modern means of telecommunication, but the beginning of the mobile phone has also started from the wireless telephone. Telephone is one of such important discoveries of science which has changed the face of telecommunication in 21st century. The smartphone and mobile we are using today used to be in the form of a telephone earlier. With the help of smartphones, we can do many things other than talking to each other, such as playing games, accessing the internet, sending photos and video messages, making video calls, listening to songs, watching movies, etc. You see, social media can also be used on a smartphone, which was never possible on a telephone. In the olden times, people used letters to send their messages. But ever since the telephone was invented, any person can talk to any other person irrespective of the part of the world he is sitting in. All of you must have talked to the telephone at some time or the other, but have you ever thought that who invented the telephone? Scottish scientist Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone on June 2, 1875. Alexander Graham Bell took the help of Thomas Watson in the invention of the telephone. After this, on March 7, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell patented this invention in his name and he became its official inventor. The first words that Graham Bell spoke to his assistant were, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." It was a great achievement. Let us tell you that Alexander Graham Bell not only invented the telephone, he also invented many other technologies such as bell, photophone, metal detector, optical fiber system, decimal unit, etc., but he is mainly recognized as the inventor of the telephone. Scientist Alexander Graham Bell was born on the 3rd of March 1847 in Scotland. Graham Bell's father was a professor while his mother was a housewife. Both Graham Bell's mother and wife were deaf, perhaps the reason why Graham Bell was so interested in phonetics. He gained fame only after the invention of the telephone, but his other inventions included the metal detector, audiometer, photophone, hydrofoil and aeronautics. The history of telephone generations can be understood in terms of technological advancements and changes in the way telephone systems were designed and operated. Here's a brief overview. 1. First generation. This marks the era of Alexander Graham Bell's invention of the telephone in 1876. The first telephones were simple devices that allowed voice transmission over short distances using wires. Manual switchboards were used to connect calls, and operators manually connected wires to establish connections between callers. 2. Second generation. During this period, there were significant improvements in telephone technology. The introduction of rotary dial telephones in the 1910s replaced the need for manual switchboards for local calls. Automatic exchanges allowed callers to dial numbers directly. Long-distance communication was still dependent on operator assistance and multiple switching points. 3. Third generation. The mid-20th century saw the transition to digital technology. This era marked the introduction of electronic switching systems, which were more efficient and reliable than their mechanical counterparts. This paved the way for direct long-distance dialing without operator intervention. 4. Fourth generation. The fourth generation brought further digital advancements, including the integration of digital signaling and computerized switching. Digital trunk lines and fiber optic cables improved the quality and capacity of long-distance calls. The rise of cellular technology and the introduction of mobile phones revolutionized communication, allowing people to make calls while on the move. 5. Fifth generation. The fifth generation, often referred to as 5G, is the current phase of telephone technology. 5G technology offers significantly faster data speeds, lower latency, and improved connectivity. It not only enhances voice calls but also supports a wide range of data-intensive applications, including video streaming, virtual reality, and the Internet of Things. Each generation of telephone technology has brought about innovations that have transformed the way we communicate, interact, and stay connected with each other. The advancements continue to shape the telecommunications landscape and the way we use telephony in our daily lives. Here are some pros and cons of using a telephone. Pros. 1. Instant communication. Telephones allow for real-time communication, making it easy to connect with others quickly. 2. Wide accessibility. Telephones are widely available and used, making it a convenient way to reach people across different locations. 3. Voice tone. Telephone conversations allow you to hear the tone of the speaker's voice, which can convey emotions and nuances that text communication might miss. 4. Clarification. Complex or important discussions can often be clearer over the phone compared to written communication. 5. Personal connection. Hearing someone's voice can create a more personal and engaging connection than written messages. Cons. 1. Lack of visual cues. Telephone calls lack visual cues, such as facial expressions and body language, which can lead to misunderstandings or misinterpretations. 2. Inconvenience. Both parties need to be available and willing to talk at the same time, which might not always be convenient. 3. Cost. International or long-distance calls can be expensive, especially if you're calling from a landline. 4. Privacy concerns. Phone calls can be less private than written communication, as they can potentially be overheard or intercepted. 5. Lack of record. Unlike text messages or emails, telephone conversations are typically not easily recorded or referred back to for accuracy. Remember, these pros and cons might vary based on personal preferences and specific circumstances.
War I, also known as the First World War or the Great War, was a global conflict that lasted from July 28, 1914, to November 11, 1918. It involved major powers from Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas and had a profound impact on world history. The causes of World War I were complex and interconnected, involving a combination of long-term underlying factors and immediate triggers. Here are the key causes of the war. Alliance systems. Europe was divided into two major military alliances before the war: the Triple Entente France, Russia, and the United Kingdom, and the Central Powers Germany, Austria-Hungary, and later joined by the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. These alliances created a network of obligations that escalated conflicts between individual countries. Nationalism. Nationalistic sentiments were on the rise across Europe, leading to intense competition among nations to assert their dominance and protect their interests. This strong sense of national pride contributed to heightened tensions between rival nations. Imperialism. European powers were engaged in a race to establish and expand their colonial empires, leading to conflicts over territories and resources in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world. Militarism. Many countries were heavily militarized and saw military strength as a way to safeguard their interests and project power. The arms race, especially between Germany and the United Kingdom, fueled an atmosphere of distrust and suspicion. Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The immediate trigger for the war was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary's demand for retribution against Serbia and the subsequent chain of events led to the outbreak of war. The July Crisis. The series of diplomatic maneuvers and ultimatums that followed the assassination created a tense situation, culminating in the declaration of war by Austria-Hungary on Serbia on July 28, 1914. System of alliances. The alliance systems magnified the impact of the assassination and turned the conflict into a broader war. As various nations honored their alliances, a regional conflict escalated into a global war involving major powers. Lack of effective diplomacy. Despite attempts at mediation, diplomatic efforts failed to resolve the crisis and prevent the escalation of hostilities. These intertwined factors created a volatile environment that ultimately led to the outbreak of World War I. The war had devastating consequences and marked a significant turning point in world history. During World War I, two major alliances dominated the conflict. The Triple Entente. This alliance consisted of three main powers: France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Later in the war, the United States also joined the Triple Entente. The Central Powers. This alliance included Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. These alliances were formed to create a balance of power and protection between the involved countries. However, as the war progressed, other countries joined or changed sides based on their interests and geopolitical situations. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 triggered a series of events that eventually led to the outbreak of World War I. During World War I, several major battles took place that had significant impacts on the course of the war. Some of the most notable ones include Battle of the Marne. This battle took place near Paris and marked the first major clash on the Western Front. The Allied forces halted the German advance and prevented them from capturing the French capital. Battle of Verdun. One of the longest and most devastating battles of the war, fought between France and Germany. It resulted in heavy casualties on both sides but ultimately ended in a French victory. Battle of the Somme. Fought between British and French forces against Germany, this battle had a tremendous toll in terms of casualties but did not result in any significant breakthrough. Battle of Jutland. A naval battle between the British Royal Navy and the German Imperial Navy in the North Sea. It was the largest naval battle of the war but did not produce a clear winner. Battle of Passchendaele. Fought in Belgium, this battle was known for its extremely difficult conditions, including heavy rain and mud. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and it ended with limited gains for the Allies. Battle of Caporetto. Also known as the 12th Battle of the Isonzo, this battle was a significant defeat for the Italian army against the Central Powers. Second Battle of the Marne. A turning point in the war, this battle marked the last major German offensive on the Western Front. The Allies, led by the French, successfully counter-attacked and pushed the Germans back. These are just a few examples, and there were many other important battles that occurred during World War I on both the Western and Eastern fronts, as well as in other theaters of the war. Trench warfare. Trench warfare was a defining feature of World War I and had a profound impact on how the war was fought. It was a military strategy where opposing armies faced each other in long, entrenched lines, creating a static and defensive front. Some key aspects of trench warfare include trench systems. Trenches were deep ditches dug into the ground to protect soldiers from enemy fire. They often stretched for miles, forming a complex network of defensive positions. No man's land. The area between opposing trench lines was known as no man's land. It was a dangerous and deadly expanse of open ground where soldiers were vulnerable to enemy fire. Stalemate. The nature of trench warfare led to a stalemate, as neither side could make significant advancements without suffering heavy casualties. This resulted in a protracted and bloody conflict. Conditions. Soldiers endured harsh living conditions in the trenches, including exposure to extreme weather, constant fear of enemy attacks, and the presence of disease-carrying pests like rats. Trench foot. A painful and debilitating condition caused by prolonged exposure to cold and wet conditions, leading to infection and sometimes requiring amputation. Over the top. Going over the top referred to soldiers leaving the safety of their trenches to charge across no man's land during an offensive. It was an extremely dangerous and often deadly maneuver. New weapons and tactics. Trench warfare saw the use of new weapons, such as machine guns, artillery, and poison gas, which caused mass casualties and changed the nature of warfare. The widespread use of trench warfare during World War I resulted in a prolonged and deadly conflict, with millions of soldiers losing their lives. It was not until later in the war, with the introduction of new tactics and technologies, that the stalemate was broken, leading to the eventual end of the war in 1918. New weapons and innovation during World War I. World War I saw the introduction of several new and innovative weapons and technologies that significantly impacted the nature of warfare. Some of these new weapons included machine guns. Light and heavy machine guns were widely used in the war. They could fire rapidly and cause devastating casualties, making traditional infantry charges extremely risky. Poison gas. Chemical weapons, such as chlorine, mustard gas, and phosgene, were introduced during World War I. They caused horrific injuries and respiratory problems, creating fear and chaos on the battlefield. Tanks. Tanks were first used in significant numbers during World War I. While early tank models were slow and unreliable, they provided mobile protection and helped break through enemy lines. Airplanes. The war marked the first extensive use of airplanes for reconnaissance, aerial combat, and bombing missions. This laid the foundation for modern aerial warfare. Submarines. Submarines, particularly German U-boats, played a significant role in naval warfare during the war. They were highly effective in disrupting supply lines and sinking enemy ships. Flamethrowers. Flamethrowers were employed to clear enemy trenches and fortifications, causing terror and destruction. Artillery. Artillery, including heavy guns and howitzers, played a critical role in softening enemy defenses and providing cover for infantry advances. These new weapons and technologies changed the face of warfare and contributed to the immense scale of casualties during World War I. They also influenced military strategies and tactics, shaping future conflicts and the development of new weapons in subsequent wars. United States involvement. The United States initially maintained a policy of neutrality when World War I broke out in 1914. However, as the war progressed, several factors led to the U.S. involvement in the conflict. Unrestricted submarine warfare. Germany began using unrestricted submarine warfare in 1917, targeting all ships, including civilian vessels, in the waters around Britain. This policy resulted in the sinking of several American ships and the loss of American lives. Zimmermann telegram. In January 1917, the British intercepted a secret telegram from Germany to Mexico, proposing an alliance against the United States. This telegram, known as the Zimmermann telegram, further angered the American public and government. Economic interests. The U.S. had significant economic ties with the Allied powers, especially Britain and France. American banks and industries were heavily invested in supporting the Allied war effort. Public opinion. As the war progressed and news of German atrocities spread, public opinion in the United States began to shift in favor of joining the Allied cause. In response to these events, President Woodrow Wilson called for a declaration of war against Germany, and on April 6, 1917, the United States officially entered World War I on the side of the Allies. The U.S. mobilized its military and industrial resources, contributing troops, supplies, and financial aid to the war effort. American involvement played a crucial role in tipping the balance in favor of the Allies and eventually led to the armistice signed on November 11, 1918, which ended the fighting. Treaty of Versailles. The peace negotiations resulted in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which imposed harsh conditions on Germany, leading to resentment and contributing to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in the following years. Consequences. World War I had far-reaching consequences, including political and territorial changes, economic upheavals, the collapse of empires, and profound social and cultural shifts. The war's legacy played a significant role in shaping the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century and beyond. It also set the stage for World War II, which erupted in 1939. World War II was a global conflict that lasted from 1939 to 1945. It involved many of the world's nations, primarily organized into two opposing alliances, the Allies, led by countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union. And the Axis powers, led by Germany, Japan, and Italy. The war began with Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939, triggering a chain of events that eventually engulfed much of the world. The conflict saw major battles on land, sea, and air, resulting in widespread devastation and loss of life. The war ended with the unconditional surrender of the Axis powers in 1945, following the dropping of atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States. The aftermath of World War II led to significant geopolitical changes, the establishment of the United Nations, and the division of Europe into Eastern and Western blocs, setting the stage for the Cold War. Here's a more comprehensive overview. Causes and origins. World War II had a complex web of causes that contributed to its outbreak. Here are some of the key causes and origins. Treaty of Versailles. The harsh terms imposed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles after World War I left the country economically devastated and filled with resentment. Many Germans felt that the treaty's conditions were unjust and sought to reverse the nation's decline. Economic struggles. The Great Depression of the 1930s hit many countries hard, leading to unemployment, poverty, and political instability. This created fertile ground for extremist ideologies and leaders to gain support. Rise of totalitarian regimes. Fascist regimes led by Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and militarists in Japan rose to power. These regimes sought to expand their territories, enhance their influence, and assert their dominance. Expansionism. Aggressive expansionist policies by these regimes fueled tensions. Germany's territorial ambitions, Japan's expansion in Asia, and Italy's invasion of Ethiopia all contributed to international unease. Appeasement. Many Western powers initially followed a policy of appeasement, hoping to avoid conflict by giving in to the demands of aggressive nations. For example, the Munich Agreement allowed Germany to annex parts of Czechoslovakia in exchange for peace. Anschluss and Sudetenland. Germany's annexation of Austria and its demand for the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia brought the issue of territorial expansion to the forefront. The Munich Agreement's appeasement approach failed to prevent further aggression. Non-Aggression Pact. In August 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression agreement that secretly included the division of Eastern Europe into spheres of influence. This allowed Germany to invade Poland without fear of Soviet intervention. Invasion of Poland. Germany's invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, marked the official start of World War II. This prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany. The rapid German advance used tactics like blitzkrieg, which combined tanks, infantry, and air support. Global expansion. Japan's expansion in Asia led to its invasion of China and aggression in the Pacific. The attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 by Japan forced the United States to enter the war. Failure of diplomacy. Diplomatic efforts to prevent conflict, such as the League of Nations, were unable to effectively deter aggressive actions. This failure further escalated tensions and contributed to the outbreak of war. The combination of these factors, along with a complex interplay of political, economic, and ideological motivations, created a volatile environment that eventually erupted into World War II. The war's consequences were profound, reshaping the world's political landscape and leaving a lasting impact on subsequent history. 1930s expansionism. Expansionism during the 1930s was a significant precursor to World War II. It involved the aggressive territorial expansion and geopolitical ambitions of several nations, setting the stage for the global conflict. Here are some notable instances of expansionism during that period. Germany. Hitler aimed to overturn the Treaty of Versailles, which he saw as unjust. He sought to expand German territory and establish a greater German empire. In 1936, German forces reoccupied the demilitarized Rhineland, violating the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria, and later that year, demanded the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia. Italy. Mussolini. aimed to restore the Roman Empire's influence and expand Italy's territories in Africa and the Mediterranean. Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935–1936, leading to its annexation in 1936. Japan sought to secure resources and expand its empire in Asia. This was driven by economic needs and the concept of the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931 and established the puppet state of Manchukuo. This expansion was condemned internationally but wasn't effectively stopped. Spain. During the Spanish Civil War, fascist General Franco's victory established a right-wing authoritarian regime in Spain, aligning it with Germany and Italy. China faced expansionist ambitions from Japan, culminating in the Second Sino-Japanese War, a prelude to World War II. Response and consequences of war. The League of Nations, established after World War I, proved ineffective in preventing expansionist actions. Western powers' policy of appeasement, notably seen in the Munich Agreement, failed to halt Hitler's ambitions and emboldened his actions. These expansionist moves created a sense of uncertainty and tension on the international stage, contributing to the eventual outbreak of World War II. The expansionist actions of these nations during the 1930s were driven by a mix of economic, political, ideological, and strategic factors. As their ambitions clashed and territorial disputes intensified, the stage was set for a larger conflict that would engulf the world in the form of World War II. Outbreak of war. The outbreak of World War II was a result of a culmination of tensions, conflicts, and events that escalated into a global conflict. The immediate trigger was Germany's invasion of Poland. Here's how it unfolded. Tensions and aggression. In the 1930s, rising authoritarian regimes, territorial ambitions, and unresolved issues from World War I created a volatile international environment. The expansionist policies of Germany, Italy, and Japan, along with appeasement from Western powers, contributed to growing tensions. Munich Agreement and Sudetenland crisis. Hitler's demand for the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia, led to the Munich Agreement. Britain and France allowed Germany to annex the Sudetenland in exchange for a promise of no further aggression. This approach failed to prevent further German expansion. Non-Aggression Pact in Eastern Europe. In August 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression agreement that included a secret division of Eastern Europe. This pact cleared the way for Germany's invasion of Poland without fearing Soviet intervention. Invasion of Poland. On September 1, 1939, Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland. The German military employed blitzkrieg tactics, involving rapid advances using combined arms of tanks, infantry, and air support. This invasion marked the official beginning of World War II. Response and declarations of war. On September 3, 1939, Britain and France, fulfilling their defense pacts with Poland, declared war on Germany. The Soviet Union invaded Poland from the east on September 17, effectively splitting the country. The global conflict soon expanded as more countries became involved on both sides. Consequences and rapid expansion. Germany's invasion of Poland exposed the limits of appeasement and diplomacy. The war quickly spread to various regions, including Europe, Asia, and Africa, as different nations joined the conflict or were drawn in through alliances. Turning points in major theaters of war. This war involved major battles in the European theater and the Pacific theater. Key moments included the Battle of Britain, the Holocaust, the Soviet defense of Stalingrad, the D-Day landings in Normandy, and the Pacific Island hopping campaigns. End of war. World War II ended in 1945 with the unconditional surrender of Germany in May and Japan in August, following the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States. These events marked the conclusion of the deadliest conflict in human history. The outbreak of World War II was a complex culmination of factors, including unresolved issues from World War I, the rise of authoritarian regimes, expansionist policies, and the failure of diplomatic efforts. The consequences of the war would reshape the world's political, social, and economic landscape for decades to come. Axis and Allies powers in World War II. World War II involved two main opposing coalitions, the Axis powers and the Allies. These alliances consisted of various countries with differing interests and goals. Here's an overview of the Axis and Allies during the war. Axis powers. Germany. Led by Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, Germany sought to expand its territory, promote Aryan supremacy, and establish a greater German empire. Italy. Under Benito Mussolini and the Fascist Party, Italy aimed to reclaim territories it believed were historically Italian, and to expand its influence in the Mediterranean and Africa. Japan. The militarist government of Japan pursued aggressive expansion in Asia, aiming to secure resources and create the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Allied powers. United Kingdom. Led by Prime Minister Winston Churchill, the UK stood against Nazi Germany's expansion in Europe. It was a key participant in the Battle of Britain and played a pivotal role in the Allies' victory. United States. Initially neutral, the U.S. entered the war after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941. Led by President Franklin D. Roosevelt and later Harry S. Truman, the U.S. provided crucial economic, industrial, and military support to the Allies. Soviet Union. Led by Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union initially signed a non-aggression pact with Germany but was invaded by Germany in June 1941. The Soviet Union played a critical role in the Eastern Front, eventually pushing back German forces and capturing Berlin in 1945. China. China was already engaged in conflict with Japan before World War II began, and it became part of the larger war after the Japanese invasion in 1937. It continued to resist Japanese aggression throughout the conflict. France. Although France was occupied by Germany early in the war, the Free French forces under Charles de Gaulle, along with colonies and resistance groups, joined the Allies in the fight against the Axis. Other nations. Various other countries contributed to the Allies' efforts, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, Poland, Belgium, the Netherlands, Norway, Greece, and more. The dynamics within each coalition varied, with some nations driven by shared goals while others had differing motivations. The Axis powers aimed to expand their empires through conquest, while the Allies sought to halt their aggression and protect their sovereignty. The outcome of World War II hinged on the combined efforts of the Allies, whose joint military operations, technological advancements, and determination ultimately led to the defeat of the Axis powers and the reshaping of the post-war world. Major theaters of war. The war was fought on multiple fronts, including the European theater and the Pacific theater. Key battles in the European theater included the Battle of Stalingrad, the Normandy landings, and the Battle of Berlin. In the Pacific, battles like Midway and Okinawa were pivotal. Holocaust and genocide. The Holocaust was a systematic, state-sponsored genocide during World War II in which approximately 6 million Jews, along with millions of others including Romani people, Poles, Soviet POWs, disabled individuals, and others, were brutally murdered by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. The Holocaust is one of the most tragic and horrifying events in human history. Here are some key points about the Holocaust and genocide during World War II. Nazi ideology. The Nazi regime, led by Adolf Hitler, subscribed to a racist and anti-Semitic ideology that viewed Jews as racially inferior and a threat to the Aryan master race. Persecution and discrimination. The persecution of Jews began with discriminatory laws, policies, and violence, such as the Nuremberg Laws in 1935. These laws restricted Jewish rights, segregated them from the rest of society, and marked the beginning of systematic oppression. Ghettos. Jews were often forcibly relocated to overcrowded, enclosed areas called ghettos, where they faced extreme living conditions, malnutrition, and disease. Mass shootings and Einsatzgruppen. In the early stages of the war, mobile killing squads called Einsatzgruppen carried out mass shootings of Jews and other, undesirables, in occupied territories in Eastern Europe. Concentration camps. The Nazis established concentration camps to imprison, torture, and kill those deemed enemies of the regime. Camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, and others were infamous for their brutality and mass murders. Final solution. The final solution to the Jewish question was the Nazi plan to exterminate the entire Jewish population. It evolved into the systematic use of gas chambers and crematoria to carry out mass murder in extermination camps. Gas chambers and death camps. Extermination camps were specifically designed for the mass killing of people, primarily using gas chambers. Victims were deceived into thinking they were going through a decontamination process before being killed with poisonous gas. Dehumanization and atrocities. The Holocaust involved not only mass murder but also dehumanization, forced labor, medical experiments, and other acts of cruelty and sadism. Liberation and aftermath. As Allied forces advanced, they began to liberate concentration and extermination camps, uncovering the horrific extent of the genocide. The Nuremberg trials held after the war sought to hold Nazi leaders accountable for their actions. Remembering and educating. The Holocaust serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of hatred, intolerance, and unchecked power. Efforts to remember the victims, educate about the Holocaust, and prevent such atrocities in the future continue to be important. The Holocaust stands as a testament to the depths of human cruelty and the importance of promoting tolerance, respect, and understanding in our world. Technological advancement. World War II saw significant technological advancements that had a profound impact on the course of the conflict and shaped the post-war world. Here are some notable technological developments during World War II. Tanks and armor. Tanks became more powerful, maneuverable, and better protected. The German Tiger and Panther tanks, as well as the Allied Sherman tank, were key players in armored warfare. Aircraft. World War II saw the rapid evolution of aircraft technology. Bombers like the British Lancaster and American B-17 Flying Fortress carried out devastating aerial bombardments. Fighter planes like the British Spitfire and the German Messerschmitt Bf-109 engaged in fierce dogfights. Radar and sonar. Radar technology played a critical role in early warning systems and detecting incoming enemy aircraft. Sonar was used to detect and track submarines underwater. Code breaking and encryption. Cryptanalysis efforts like the British at Bletchley Park led to the breaking of Enigma and other enemy codes, providing crucial intelligence. This contributed significantly to Allied victories. Atomic bomb. The development of nuclear weapons, notably the atomic bomb, was a defining technological breakthrough. The Manhattan Project led to the successful creation and deployment of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending the war with Japan. Jet propulsion. Jet engines revolutionized aviation, resulting in faster and more powerful aircraft. The German Messerschmitt Me 262 was the world's first operational jet-powered fighter. Rockets and missiles. Germany's V-2 rocket was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile. Although it had limited military impact, it paved the way for later developments in rocketry and space exploration. Amphibious landing craft. The development of specialized landing craft, like the American Higgins boat, played a vital role in amphibious operations such as the D-Day landings. Medical advancements. Medical technology improved significantly during World War II, leading to better trauma care and surgical techniques. Innovations like blood transfusion and antibiotics saved countless lives. Radio and communication. Improved radio technology enabled better communication between military units and facilitated coordination on the battlefield. Cryptography machines. The Enigma machine and other cryptographic devices were used for secure communication, but their codes were eventually broken by Allied cryptanalysts. These technological advances had far-reaching effects beyond the war itself. Many innovations, like jet engines, rocketry, and nuclear technology, laid the foundation for future developments in aviation, space exploration, and energy. The lessons learned from the application of technology in warfare also influenced post-war research, industry, and international relations. War's end and aftermath. The war culminated in the unconditional surrender of Germany in May 1945 and Japan in August 1945, following the dropping of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States. The aftermath led to the division of Germany and Europe into East and West, the establishment of the United Nations to promote international cooperation, and the beginning of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Human cost. The war resulted in an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, making it one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Civilians and soldiers alike suffered tremendous losses. Legacy. The war's legacy is profound, shaping the geopolitical landscape, fostering the growth of human rights movements, and accelerating technological and scientific advancements. It remains a pivotal event that continues to influence global politics, culture, and historical understanding.
Egypt is a fascinating country located in northeastern Africa. It has a rich history that goes back thousands of years. One of the most well-known aspects of Egypt is its ancient civilization, which built the iconic pyramids and the Sphinx. The capital city of Egypt is Cairo, and it's a bustling metropolis where people live, work, and go about their daily lives. The Nile River flows through Egypt and has been the lifeblood of the country for centuries. The ancient Egyptians relied on the Nile for farming, transportation, and water. Egypt has a diverse culture, with influences from various civilizations throughout its history. The people of Egypt are welcoming and friendly, and they take great pride in their traditions and heritage. When it comes to food, Egyptian cuisine is a delightful mix of flavors and ingredients. You'll find dishes like falafel, koshari, and delicious desserts like baklava. Apart from its historical attractions, Egypt boasts stunning landscapes. The vast Sahara Desert covers much of the country, providing a unique and awe-inspiring experience for travelers. On the eastern coast, the Red Sea offers world-class diving and snorkeling opportunities, with colorful coral reefs and marine life. Tourism plays a significant role in Egypt's economy, with millions of visitors coming to explore its historical wonders and enjoy the warm climate. Overall, Egypt is a captivating country with a blend of ancient history, vibrant culture, and beautiful landscapes, making it a must-visit destination for travelers from around the world. Egypt has a remarkable history that stretches back over 5,000 years. Here's a brief overview. Ancient Egypt. This period is famous for the rise of pharaohs and the construction of iconic structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Sphinx. The ancient Egyptians developed a sophisticated civilization with advanced knowledge in agriculture, writing, and architecture. The Middle Kingdom. This era saw periods of stability and prosperity, marked by strong central governance and ambitious construction projects. The New Kingdom. This was a time of great expansion and power for Egypt, with notable pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, and Ramses II. The empire reached its peak and extended its influence beyond its borders. Foreign rule. Egypt faced invasions and periods of foreign rule by various powers, including the Assyrians, Persians, Greeks under Alexander the Great, and later the Ptolemies, descendants of one of Alexander's generals. Roman rule. Egypt became part of the Roman Empire after the conquest of Cleopatra VII. During this time, it continued to be an important cultural and economic center in the Mediterranean region. Islamic conquest. Arab forces led by Amr ibn al-As conquered Egypt, introducing Islam as the dominant religion. Ottoman rule. Egypt became part of the Ottoman Empire, and it remained under Ottoman control for several centuries. British occupation. The British took control of Egypt to safeguard their strategic interests, leading to a period of British occupation that lasted until the 1952 revolution. Modern Egypt. In 1952, a military coup led by Gamal Abdel Nasser ended the monarchy, establishing a republic. Egypt has experienced various political changes and challenges, including the Suez Crisis, the Six-Day War, and the Arab Spring Uprising in 2011. Throughout its history, Egypt has remained a center of culture, trade, and influence in the Middle East and North Africa, leaving a lasting impact on the world's civilizations. The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World is a list of remarkable structures from ancient times that were considered marvels of engineering and architecture. Unfortunately, only one of the original wonders, the Great Pyramid of Giza, still exists today. Here's a brief overview of each wonder. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Built around 2560 BC, this pyramid is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids in Giza. It was constructed as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu and is an incredible feat of engineering and precision. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Historians are unsure of their exact location, but they were described as lush, terraced gardens built by King Nebuchadnezzar II to please his wife. Sadly, there is no concrete evidence of their existence. The statue of Zeus at Olympia. Created by the renowned sculptor Phidias around 435 BC, this statue depicted Zeus, the king of the Greek gods. It stood in the Temple of Zeus in Olympia. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Built around 550 BC and dedicated to the Greek goddess Artemis, this temple was an extraordinary example of ancient Greek architecture and was later destroyed by fire. The Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Constructed around 353 BC as a tomb for Mausolus, a ruler of Caria, and his wife Artemisia. This elaborate tomb was renowned for its impressive design. The Colossus of Rhodes. Erected around 280 BC, this enormous bronze statue of the sun god Helios stood at the entrance of the harbor of Rhodes. It was toppled by an earthquake 54 years later. The Lighthouse of Alexandria. Built on the island of Pharos around 280 BC, this lighthouse was one of the tallest structures of the ancient world and served as a beacon for sailors entering the port of Alexandria. Although the original Seven Wonders are now largely lost to time, their fame and influence have inspired countless generations and sparked the curiosity of people around the world. Egypt is a country located in the northeastern corner of Africa. It is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the north, the Gaza Strip and Israel to the northeast, the Red Sea to the east, Sudan to the south, and Libya to the west. The country also shares maritime borders with Saudi Arabia and Jordan. The geography of Egypt is diverse and can be divided into four main regions. Nile River Valley. The Nile River flows through Egypt, creating a fertile valley that extends from the southern city of Aswan to the northern Nile Delta. This area is the most populated and agriculturally productive part of the country. Nile Delta. The Nile Delta is a triangular-shaped region where the Nile River splits into several distributaries before flowing into the Mediterranean Sea. It is a crucial agricultural region and a major area for rice and cotton production. Eastern Desert. Also known as the Arabian Desert, this region lies to the east of the Nile River Valley. It is a vast desert area with rocky plateaus, sand dunes, and deep valleys. Western Desert. The Western Desert is a large expanse of desert that covers most of Egypt's land area to the west of the Nile River. It includes the Libyan Desert, which is characterized by sand seas, sand dunes, and stony plateaus. Egypt's geography plays a significant role in shaping its climate, culture, and history. The Nile River has been a lifeline for the country, providing water for irrigation, transportation, and daily use. Most of Egypt's population is concentrated along the Nile River Valley and the Nile Delta, where the land is arable. The coastal regions along the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea offer beautiful beaches and have become popular tourist destinations. The deserts of Egypt are known for their unique landscapes and historical sites, such as ancient oases and archaeological treasures. Overall, Egypt's geography is a fascinating blend of river valleys, fertile plains, and expansive deserts, contributing to the country's rich history and cultural heritage. There are numerous religions practiced around the world. Some major religions include Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Judaism, Jainism and others. Additionally, there are various indigenous and smaller religions followed by different cultures and communities. Jainism is a religion that originated in ancient India. It teaches non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, celibacy, and non-possessiveness. Jains believe in the concept of karma, where actions have consequences in this life or the next. They strive to free their souls from the cycle of birth and death through spiritual practices and self-discipline. Jainism encourages compassion towards all living beings and emphasizes a peaceful way of life. Jainism is one of the ancient religions that originated in India. It traces its roots back to the teachings of Lord Rishabhanatha, the first mentor, who is believed to have lived thousands of years ago. However, the historical origins of Jainism are difficult to determine precisely. The development of Jainism as a distinct religious tradition is attributed to Lord Mahavira, who is considered the 24th mentor. He was born around the 6th century BCE in the region that is now modern-day Bihar, India. Lord Mahavira's teachings emphasized the importance of non-violence, self-discipline, and compassion towards all living beings. He advocated for a path of spiritual purification to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Throughout its history, Jainism has experienced periods of growth and influence, especially in ancient India. It spread to different parts of the Indian subcontinent and gained the patronage of kings and merchants. Jain scholars and monks played a significant role in preserving and spreading knowledge in fields like philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. Over time, Jainism evolved into two major sects, the Digambara and the Shvetambara. The Digambara sect believes in complete nudity for monks and has distinct beliefs and practices from the Shvetambara sect, where monks wear white robes. Jainism faced challenges from other religions, particularly during the Islamic and Mughal invasions in India, which led to a decline in its influence in certain regions. Despite the challenges, Jainism has continued to be an important and influential religious tradition in India, with millions of followers and a rich cultural heritage. Today, Jainism promotes non-violence, non-possessiveness, and a deep reverence for life, making it a unique and significant part of India's religious and philosophical landscape. Jainism is primarily practiced in India, where it originated and has a significant following. It is estimated that the majority of Jain population resides in India. Outside of India, Jain communities can be found in various countries due to migration and diaspora communities. However, the presence of Jainism in these countries is relatively smaller compared to India. Some of the countries where Jain communities can be found include the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Kenya, Tanzania, and other countries with significant Indian communities. It's important to note that the spread of religions may change over time due to various factors, including migration and globalization. For the most up-to-date information, it's best to refer to more recent sources or demographic studies. Lord Mahavira, also known as Vardhamana Mahavira, was the 24th and last Tirthankara of Jainism. He was born in 599 BCE in the ancient kingdom of Vaishali. His life and teachings form a crucial part of Jain religious history. According to Jain tradition, Mahavira was born into a royal family, as the son of King Siddhartha and Queen Trishala. At a young age, he showed signs of spiritual inclination and renounced worldly life at the age of 30, leaving behind his family and wealth. He spent the next 12 years as an ascetic, seeking spiritual enlightenment. During this period of intense meditation and penance, Mahavira practiced strict self-discipline and non-violence towards all living beings. He dedicated himself to finding the truth and overcoming suffering to achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death. After 12 years of rigorous asceticism and meditation, Mahavira attained Kevala Jnana, which is the highest form of knowledge and enlightenment in Jainism. He became an omniscient being, possessing profound wisdom and insight into the nature of reality. For the next 30 years, Lord Mahavira traveled across various regions in ancient India, preaching his profound spiritual teachings, known as Jain Dharma. He emphasized the importance of ahimsa, truthfulness, non-stealing, celibacy, and non-possessiveness as the fundamental principles of ethical conduct. Mahavira's teachings and spiritual message attracted a significant following, and he established a monastic community of male and female ascetics who lived simple and austere lives, adhering to the principles of Jainism. Throughout his life, Mahavira faced challenges and opposition, but he remained steadfast in his teachings and commitment to non-violence and compassion towards all living beings. Lord Mahavira passed away at the age of 72, achieving moksha and freeing his soul from the cycle of birth and death. His teachings and life story continue to inspire millions of Jains, who follow his path of non-violence, self-discipline, and spiritual liberation. Jain followers celebrate Mahavira's birth anniversary as Mahavir Jayanti, an important festival in the Jain calendar. Jainism offers several valuable learnings that can enrich one's life and contribute to a more compassionate and peaceful existence. Here are some key teachings from Jainism. Non-violence. Jainism emphasizes non-violence towards all living beings. This principle extends to thoughts, words, and actions, promoting a deep respect for life in all its forms. Truthfulness. Being truthful and honest is regarded as an essential virtue in Jainism. Speaking the truth and living with integrity are considered crucial for spiritual growth. Non-possessiveness. Jainism advocates minimalism and detachment from material possessions. By practicing non-possessiveness, individuals can free themselves from attachment and reduce their impact on the environment. Self-discipline. Jains believe in cultivating self-control and discipline to overcome desires and emotions. By restraining oneself, one can achieve a more balanced and focused life. Non-stealing. Respecting others' property and refraining from stealing is a core value in Jainism. This promotes trust and harmony within communities. Compassion. Jain teachings encourage empathy and compassion towards all beings, leading to a more harmonious and caring society. Equality and inclusivity. Jainism rejects discrimination based on caste, creed, or gender. It upholds the principle of equality and advocates for the inclusion of all individuals in society. Non-absolutism. Jain philosophy recognizes the multiplicity of viewpoints and the complexity of reality. This principle promotes open-mindedness and understanding in interactions with others. The theory of relativity. Jainism teaches that truth is multifaceted and depends on perspective. Practicing this theory fosters humility and encourages respectful dialogue. Spiritual liberation. Jainism's ultimate goal is to attain spiritual liberation or moksha, freeing the soul from the cycle of birth and death. This pursuit of self-realization drives followers to lead a life of righteousness and spiritual growth. By incorporating these teachings into their lives, individuals can embrace a more ethical, compassionate, and mindful way of living, promoting harmony within themselves and the world around them.
In today's era, the car holds a very important place in human life. Man uses the car as a means of transport in his daily life. The car takes him to his destination with utmost ease. The cars are of many colors and the price also varies for each car. The price of a car depends on its make, its features and the company that manufactures it. People select the car as per their requirement. The car is not as big in size as big vehicles like bus and truck, but it is more convenient than them. Although more people can ride in the bus than the car and more luggage can also come in the bus, but still most of the people prefer the car to the bus. The car also protects its passengers from the rain during the rainy season. The passengers sitting inside the car are always protected from rain and travel without any inconvenience. Apart from this, the car can be driven at any time in the morning, afternoon, evening, night, and its ride can be enjoyed. The best advantage of the car is when buying in the market. It is a very difficult task to bring the purchased goods by vehicles like bus or train. On the other hand, the same luggage can be transported very easily with the help of a car. Apart from this, the car is also used by people going to the office every day. The car takes them to the office quickly and conveniently. The car should always be driven carefully and following the road rules. Road rules should never be violated in a hurry to reach the destination quickly. It is very important for the person driving the car to have patience and caution. Apart from this, a car or any other vehicle should never be driven under the influence of alcohol. Car is a wonderful vehicle, which is used by millions of people every day. In terms of convenience, the car is considered to be much better than the bus. Vehicles, which is the biggest reason for using it. There is no doubt that the car plays an important role in traffic.